Hey y'all, welcome to Running from 40. And in this video, we're going to be departing from our regular scheduled broadcasting to bring you a bit of a training update. As a lot of you may know, I am not necessarily training for anything in particular, not like a race. I'm pretty much just trying to improve my aerobic base, get in better shape so that I can start looking at training for specific races, half marathons, and we'll see where you go from there. But today felt like a pretty significant milestone. And so I wanted to step back and share that with y'all. Um, this channel it's meant to be a help for others and an encouragement and maybe even an inspiration at some level or at some point. But also it's meant to, in a way, chronicle my running journey in an effort to track my improvement, to have a different perspective of how things are going, but also again as a further means to just share with y'all and to better facilitate this conversation, this growth as we all get better, learn more, and seek improvement in our running. So today, though, I wanted to bring up my recent effort at running a half marathon distance. So a half marathon distance is 13.1 miles, a full marathon being 26.2 miles. And I've never run this far before. So in this video, I want to give a real quick background and what I was thinking before I ran, explain what went on, what happened during the run itself, and then a bit of the run aftermath. So what do I do to recover afterwards? And when will I run next? Quick note, this was not a competitive half marathon. This was not an event. This was me pre 6 a.m. deciding on about a less than 24 hours notice that I was going to try this. So why did I decide to do this? I'm pretty careful. I have a bit of a propensity to be competitive and to push myself maybe a little bit more than I should, but I think as I've gotten older and as I've progressed on this running journey that I've gotten maybe a little bit smarter and have realized that it's important to not overdo it. And I've already shared with y'all that you need to take it easier, so I need to practice what I preach to. So why did I do it? I was having an off week, and I know that's not a very good start for why I would do something more intense, but all week long, we traveled a little bit last weekend, and all week long, I felt tired. I haven't necessarily been sick, but I felt tired. I felt heavy when I run, and so I've dialed it back quite a bit and taken one of those step back weeks, even though it wasn't scheduled. Trying to listen to my body a lot. And then yesterday, I woke up and I was so tired. I actually went back to sleep after waking up and having coffee. And so I just took a total rest day. I went for a couple walks, but I decided I'm not going to run at all. And while I was walking, I felt a little better as the day went on. I said to myself, okay, I want to finish this week well. We're going to be traveling this weekend. And so it would be convenient to put in a really good run and then take a break for a few days after that. So I thought to myself, let's try to maybe raise the intensity a little bit and do a longer distance. So the most I've ever run before is right around 11 miles, maybe just shy of 11 miles. So this was going to be a new distance. And then, like I said, I also wanted to push up the intensity a bit, not to where I was taxing myself, not to where I was just uh, maximizing stress on my body. I didn't want to be huffing and puffing. I didn't want to do something that was going to open me up for injury. But I did kind of want to use this as a bit of a marker, a bit of a milestone, a bit of a checkpoint to see kind of where my fitness is at. And so, anyway, yeah, that was what went on behind the scenes, or sort of as a foundation for why I decided to do this. I think it is helpful at times when you're doing training that is focused on long-term gains. It's it's nice once in a while to just kind of take your pulse and see where things are at. So that's kind of what I did. I woke up and I felt good. So I went down there and I was like, all right, we're gonna do this. We're gonna run a half marathon on a relatively flat course. and early in the morning was nice and cool. And so this is how it went. I started running when it was dark, and I ran the first probably quarter of the race while it was dark. I got out. My plan was to try to keep it under 160 beat per minute's heart rate. I went a little bit above that, but not too much. And so I ran my first mile, and I felt like I was going pretty well. Definitely didn't feel like I was pushing it too much. It's kind of hard to tell in the first mile. I wanted to keep it below 140 beats per minute. Again, this was not a competitive race. This was me trying to do a bit of a warm up, gradually increase my heart rate, and then maybe even cool down toward the end. So I got done with my first mile, and I was in the 7:30 minute per mile range, and my heart rate was below 160. And I have my Strava open. I realize I don't have my heart rate shown. Oh well, we'll see if we can improve that. Anyway, yeah, I was below. I think I was below. I mean, I got up like in the low 150s maybe. And so I thought, okay, I'm going faster than I thought I was going to. But of course, it's the first mile. That doesn't really mean a lot. But I continued on, and I continued to feel good. And so I kept it at about a 7.5 minute mile. Again, if I'm looking down, I'm just looking at my Strava report. So keeping it at a 7.5 minute mile, or a sub 740 for the first 4 miles. From there, I notched it up a bit, or I shouldn't say notched it up a bit. I slowed down a bit. 740 minute mile. I got 749, 743, 748. That's the first 8 miles. I stayed below a 750 minute mile, all while keeping it right around 160 beats per minute. I felt like I could talk. I felt totally fine as far as my cardio system was concerned. I did have a water in my car, and then a little bit of nutrition. So I just took in a little bit. My wife makes these sort of like energy granola bar things that are real tasty, and I had those cut up in small pieces at my car next to my water as well. So I would, if I wanted to, I could get a little bit of hydration and nutrition every 2 miles, which I didn't do, but it was there if I felt like I needed it. So I didn't want to push it and deplete myself in a way where I, again, open myself up to injury, sickness. I wanted this to be challenging, but again, not anywhere near competition. So, and my expectation was if I could run an 8 minute mile, I would be very happy. I really thought even just doing this whole thing under 2 hours, maybe an hour 50, would have been good. So, anyway, I did the first 8 miles in a sub 50. Mile 9, I did at 7:55. So I see myself slow down a bit. But at this point, and again, I don't have, let me see if I click on this mile in Strava, does it tell me? See, my Strava app, it tells me, oh, here we go. Apologies, I'm just looking through Strava right there. Okay, so I can dial in a bit more. So 7:55 for that mile. Okay, so what I'm trying to look at is my heart rate. So the one thing I noticed, and this was encouraging, when I started to slow down pace-wise, I was also slowing down my heart rate. So I wasn't getting slower, even though I was trying harder as far as my cardio system went. I was getting slower because my legs were getting tired as I neared like the 10-mile point. And that was encouraging to me because I have thought that my legs were my limiting factor and that my cardio, my aerobic system shouldn't be a problem. And that proved to be true. So, and all the way to the end, except for when I sprinted for like the last few hundred meters, I felt really good as far as my aerobic capacity went. I felt like I could have talked at any point, and that was really encouraging. My legs just got more and more tired, but even my legs never felt terrible. I was very surprised. My first time ever running this distance. And after that 7:55 minute mile, that was the slowest mile, that was mile 9. And then my next 4 miles, I ran negative splits. I ran a 7:51, a 7:49, a 7:40, and then my final mile, I ran at 7 minutes per mile. And most of the time, as I was checking my watch, I was sub 7, and it didn't feel bad. It didn't feel overwhelming. And one of the biggest reasons that's encouraging is because to qualify for Boston, my marathon pace would have to be a 7:15 for my age. That'd be like a 3:10, 3 hour 10 minute marathon. And don't get me wrong, this is a half marathon. It's literally half of a marathon. And I know from experienced marathon runners that the racing doesn't really start till later on. But still, I've never done anything like this. It was really encouraging. Keep in mind, all my running throughout this entire year, I've never run at this heart rate. I may have run like a fast 5K, maybe like one 10K, where I got in this heart rate range, a max heart rate test or something. But 99% of my running has been substantially below this average of, I think I averaged a 158 or 159 heart rate for the whole thing. And let me see if I can see that here in Strava. I don't see it. I'm not really good at Strava on the desktop, on a computer. I'm more used to looking at it on my phone. But I guess 159, I think. So running at a 159, which is still, I think, substantially below my lactate threshold. It must have been, because if my legs didn't feel tired, I felt like I could have done that pace for a lot longer. Uh, so that felt really encouraging, that I was able to run substantially faster at a substantially faster pace with all of my training, mostly being just easy running. And I really bring that up as an encouragement to everyone else. You don't have to go out and hurt yourself. You don't have to go out and overdo it. You need to be disciplined. You need to be consistent and committed. But that's not the same as just going all out. These so-called hero sessions, that's not what's going to make or break your training. It's all about being consistent, day in, day out, continuing. And that's great. You can run at a relatively easy pace for most of your runs and be developing your aerobic base, and then kick up your speed and run substantially faster than you probably thought you could. And so again, that's just another example of the proof being in the pudding. It's not just somebody saying, because I think we're always looking for these cheats, or we're looking for the perpetual energy machine. And that of course doesn't exist. But I think we rightly are skeptical when we hear of, like with dieting, you don't have to stop eating your favorite foods. You can do whatever you want and just take this diet pill. This could almost sound like that, but here it is, in simplicity, shown in just this average runner like myself. I don't have tons of talent or experience. I'm just doing this experiment, sharing it with y'all. And here today was like this huge milestone. So I'm really pumped, because I ran a half marathon in an hour and 40 minutes. My average pace, I think, was about 7:39 minutes per mile. Like, that's a half marathon that a lot of people will be happy with. And I didn't have the benefit of aid stations. I didn't have the benefit of people cheering for me. I didn't have the benefit of tapering and getting ready for this, although I did have an easier week. So I had reason, and I wasn't going all out. So I have reason to believe my half marathon time would be actually substantially faster. But again, I wasn't trying to find out what my top end was. I just wanted to gauge a bit what it felt like to run faster for a longer period of time. So that's that. Anyway, I'm very excited. It was huge encouragement, and I wanted to share that. So whatever it's worth. I did want to briefly, I think, focus on, especially because my next video is going to be talking about warming up, cooling down, and rest and recovery. So I wanted to talk about what now. What do I do after running like this? My sister asked me. She goes, "What do you do now after? What do you do for recovery after something like that?" And well, again, I don't have experience running anything like that, but the way I'm approaching recovery is I will follow. I have a number of biofeedback technologies that I use. One would be my watch, which tells me I need like a 3-day break. My Aura Ring gives me a pretty good insight into how my recovery is going. But yeah, I'll probably take 2 to 3 days off. Today, I've already taken a cold plunge in my homemade cold plunge slash ice bath. That felt amazing. I am eating more. I mean, during this exercise session, I burned over 1,500 active calories. I uh, did over 20,000 steps. So I want to treat recovery really seriously. I don't want to be trying to get out there the next day and continue to punish myself. So I'm just taking it easy. Having a bit of a lazy. I'm working today, but a bit of a lazy Fridays. We get ready for traveling, trying to take in a lot more calories and being a little less stringent about what I eat. I just ate a plate of nachos that were incredible, and yeah, I will focus on some light, gentle movement and sleep. Sleep's really big. So I'll emphasize this point more during the next video, I imagine, but it's so important to focus on recovery. It, Recovery is really when you get better. I think a lot of us would, if you were asked, when do you get bigger, stronger, and faster? You think, well, while you're doing the workout, while you're grinding it out. But actually, that all happens during recovery. Working out breaks your body down, and recovery is just that. Your body's recovering, and it's actually rebuilding itself, and it's because of the stress that you put it under, it's rebuilding itself better, bigger, stronger, faster. And it's the same way that our brains work. We don't learn information while we're cranking through the difficulty of learning something new, or we're sitting there and trying to digest and trying to think through something. It's actually when we're sleeping. That's when uh, that's when what we've learned becomes concrete. So again, it's the same thing with athletic fitness type stuff. So it's not like this necessary evil. It's not something that you should skimp on. It's as much a part of the process as the actual working out is. So rest is good. Um, I think that's all I have to say. Yeah, obviously this video is a lot more laid back and I think less structured. I'm just looking at my Strava to see if there's anything else I wanted to mention. Less structured than my normal ones. I didn't have an outline or anything. But again, just wanted to focus on why I did this, what it was like, and what the aftermath looks like. May have missed some things, I'm not sure, but I appreciate y'all watching. Again, I hope it was an encouragement for you to get out there and accomplish your goals and dreams. And I should have the next video up in our Getting Started series soon. And until then, I'm a little tired, obviously. Until then, take care, y'all.